Welcome to Bespoke Diaries. Today's article is on The Strength of My Weakness by Vahen King, motivational speaker and author, Going Farther Organization, Canada. Vahen says she's a terrible speller. She doesn't always say the right thing, but the best part is that she is also in a wheelchair. Weaknesses, we all have them, but rarely do you hear someone boasting about them. In fact, most of us view them as negative things and try to hide them. The resume we present to the world is filled with all of our strengths and abilities. Author, speaker, Miss Wheelchair Canada, Miss Kindness World. But how much sweeter to hear that Vahen is a writer when she struggles with English in general. Or that she is a Miss Wheelchair Canada when for years, she struggled with insecurities and low self-esteem. You see, Vahen has learned that God sees her life with all its failures and weaknesses and says, she can use that. God, I love and serve you with all of my heart. That was Vahen's honest prayer. She remembers telling God during her first year in Bible college, that she would go through anything as long as she knew He was with her. Vahen truly believed that with God all things were possible. After graduating from Bible college, she received an engagement ring from the love of her life. The day Vahen asked her to marry him, she felt like the luckiest girl in the world. 1 week to the day after Vahen proposed, her life took a drastic turn. She started experiencing excruciating pain in her upper chest and back and was rushed to the hospital. Vahen remembers trying to roll over as she waited to see the doctor and not being able to move her legs. Vahen knew something wasn't right and cried out for the nurse. When she told her what was happening, the nurse immediately wheeled her into the emergency ward. Every 15 minutes, they came and checked her vital signs. She was losing feeling and movement so rapidly that the doctors were scared her lungs would stop working and they would lose her. By evening, Vahen was paralyzed from the chest down, had a feeding tube inserted and she could not use her right arm. No one knew what was wrong. Terrified and overwhelmed with fear, Vahen cried out, God, I'm so scared. In that moment, Vahen sensed Him say, I am with you always. Knowing God was with her gave a peace she cannot explain. Over the days that followed, Vahen was subjected to every test you can imagine. After about a month, the specialist gave her a diagnosis. Vahen, he said, you have transverse myelitis, a virus that attacks the nerves of the spinal cord and causes paralysis. There is nothing we can do. From now on, you'll require medical care and be dependent on a wheelchair. We're going to send you to a facility where you'll receive full-time support. With all the uncertainty surrounding Vahen's health, her biggest question was, do I still have a fiancé? She knew she had to ask Vahen if he still wanted to marry her. You can imagine her surprise when he said, Vahen, I love you. God gave you to me. I'm not going to give you back now and say you're not good enough. So they began looking forward to their future together. Vahen ignored the doctor's prognosis and focused her attention on two things, her rehabilitation and planning her wedding, which included her walking down the aisle. 1 year after the doctors said Vahen would never walk again, with one of her parents on either side of her, she walked the aisle to meet her groom. Everyone was in tears to witness Vahen reach her goals. When they were pronounced husband and wife, Vahen swept her off her feet and carried her from the church. Although Vahen and her husband began their life together a little differently than most married couples, they assumed that their biggest problems were behind them. They had no idea of the many challenges they would face as a newlywed couple. Vahen had loved and served God her whole life. She believed in healing and expected great things from God. Even though this was a tough road, she knew He was with her. What she was not prepared for were the many times she would hear, maybe you're not healed because there's sin in your life, or you just don't have enough faith. Vahen was completely blindsided. What did she do wrong? Does God not love her like she thought He did? Is that why all of this is happening? She found herself in unfamiliar territory, angry at God and all the well-meaning people who thought they were helping. Vahen started to withdraw from God and her husband. Marital challenges crept into her life, financial stress, communication breakdown, a miscarriage, mistrust, and finally, her infidelity. Her life had spun completely out of control. Vahen hit rock bottom. She confessed her infidelity to Vahen in order to push him out of her life. She felt he deserved better. "I forgive you," he said. It was something Vahen never imagined hearing. Her husband said that we both needed to take responsibility for our marriage failure and that he wanted to work on us. But Vahen was consumed with feelings of guilt and shame. She couldn't see how he could ever really love and trust her again. When she finally reached a point of total desperation, thinking there was no hope for her, she cried out, "God, if you are real, help me." Change her bitter heart. She couldn't live in this constant turmoil, consumed with shame and feeling unworthy of love or forgiveness. She surrendered all her failures and weaknesses to God. And that's when he said, "I can use that." The choice to give God her weaknesses and failures, and push forward has enabled Vahen to reach beyond her wildest dreams. And now he is using her weakness as a platform of hope, to be a woman of influence, and it's all for his glory. Vahen is now an author, international speaker, ordained minister, and holds the title of first ever Miss Wheelchair Canada and Miss Kindness World. This transformation was not an overnight operation, but she did have a heart transplant. Vahen believes God has totally transformed her life and marriage. And the biggest blessing in it all is that she now has undeniable peace, defiant joy, and contagious courage. And it's because of her journey through brokenness that she founded the organization Going Farther, and it is their vision to ignite hearts with hope, empower the wounded, and equip the willing to go farther than they ever thought possible. Why? Because that's what happened to her. We know life isn't easy and that many people are facing impossible challenges, and paralyzing fear keeps them from moving forward. We understand that in order to take that first step, people need encouragement and support. We empower individuals to take that first step towards freedom. So, whether you need hope, inspiration, resources, or connections, Going Farther is there to help. To access resources and supports that we have available, please visit goingfarther.org. Vahen wants people to know that her success was not found in highlighting her strengths or filtered truths, but by surrendering them to God and boasting about His strength in her. Vahen, challenge to you today is this: instead of trying to hide your weakness or failures, surrender them to God, so He can use you to help others and display His power. Because you know what? He is saying to you what He has said to her. I can use that. Allow Him to help you understand the strength of your weakness. Thank you for your time. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Do leave your thoughts in the comments section below. For similar type of article, please reach us at contact@thebespokediaries.com, or you can visit our website www.thebespokediaries.com.